All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia. Season 2, episode 23.
23, that's
yes. Right. And we are getting into some more of these teacher-student
practical exams.
Fights, yes.
Yeah.
Particularly for training them against how to fight against villains. And specific ones have been doing clever techniques in how to immobilize...
or at least get the handcuffs on them.
The handcuffs specifically, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But then a lot of them have been running away. And I think that's good that a lot of them know when they don't need to fight.
Yeah. Now, with the fights that we have left, Bakugo and Deku versus All Might's going to be the last one, right?
I think it's going to be the last one, yeah. So right now we're going to get through a lot of the ones that we haven't really gotten much stakes on as much as, you know, the Bakugo, Deku,
so
All Might fight.
Principal, President Mike, the McCree guy,
yes,
and Midnight.
McCree. And Midnight, yes. So those four in particular are the main ones that we'll be getting into.
Not necessarily all this episode, though.
Not necessarily on this episode.
Yeah.
But they'll be next on the hit list, so to speak.
Right.
So without further ado, let's get into this episode and see which fights we get to see.
Yep, and don't die, Araka.
Oh.
Okay. This actually might be how she wins.
Martial arts.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, well they won, but they sort of won only because 13 wouldn't actually kill them or hurt them. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, yes, I wonder. Oh, okay, cool. So they get to fight against the principal. Yes.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
How will the principal even engage them? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay. So this is the place where they're rescuing All Might, so to speak.
Okay. They're being way too positive right now. Oh, yes.
What? What the heck?
Is he like Magneto?
I don't think so.
Those sounded like footsteps. Huh?
What?
Okay.
He's using a crane?
I thought he was gonna be in like a mech or something.
Yeah. Forecasts? He can see the future? Wait, what? Oh my gosh, that's...
Wow.
He can see the rippling effect of...
the consequences
of an action.
That's why he's the principal.
Right. Oh my gosh! High specs. Oh my gosh. He's an animal.
Okay.
What?
All right. This is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Oh, that's terrifying.
All right.
A super genius animal that's evolved to be smarter than humans.
Yeah.
And he was a secret experiment of some kind.
So he's kind of like Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
But he can use his brains as, you know, just fine.
Right.
Doesn't need anything else.
Gotta love the dirt faces.
Wow.
Oh, they lose, yeah. Elementary, my dear Watson. Every time he does that.
Yeah. Oh, and they weren't doing too well on the written exam either.
Yeah, so they're gonna go to summer school hell, summer trading hell.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's not how... Alright.
Okay, here we go. You can see present Mike. Yep. Any voice.
He's just waiting for them.
Yep. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm over here.
Oh, he can control them. Oh, he speaks with sign language.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
That crazy eye.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
This is what I was excited about. He's scared of bugs?
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The battle of the sound waves.
Right. Oh my gosh.
He's like, no class to it.
Nope, no plan. He's relentless! Like, imagine fighting, like him fighting villains.
Oh, yeah.
Are we gonna get, like, oh, the blood in your ears.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this is great!
Aww.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh, that's... Yeah!
Yeah, because there's no actual physical reason why that should have taken him out.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is the one that I'm really interested in.
Jeez.
So he actually has live ammo?
Yeah.
And this is why he's not actually shooting him?
Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Oh. Wow.
Oh,
Mineta.
Yeah, of course. Somnambulist. Right.
Right, and...
Boys and girls, I wonder why. Oh my gosh. Oh. Yeah.
I'm waiting for this.
Mineta might prove to not be really in the right place.
And then Shinzo could Sasageo.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Of course, he also got kind of shafted as far as quirks go.
Yeah. Well, his goal is kind of just to be the perv, you know. That's kind of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a great goal. Oh, we're gonna see his little bits of complex motivation, maybe.
ほんとほんと今度一緒に行ってみる？
He's having a crisis of identity here.
ヒーローになれりゃなんとなくモテると思ってたんだよ。
Oh.
Interesting.
Deku inspires him because he's...
Yep.
But that's... yeah.
Well, that means Sarah will wake up, though?
敵を精神的に追い詰める捕食者の目、やっぱりギリギリだぜミッドナイト。そう、鼻でも口でも一呼吸しちゃえばあなた。
One breath. Holy crap.
Okay.
She's kind of taunting him in a way.
分かっちまったんだよな。ヒーローだからかっけえんじゃねえ。かっけえからヒーローなんだって。
That's cool. That's a good distinction.
Okay, sure.
おいらがあんたみたいなドスケベヒーローのファンじゃねえわけ。ねえんだよな。奥まで逃げたのも、ぶちまけた弱音も。
Oh, no way.
あんたの私学心煽ってここまで。
So that Sarah would wake up?
全部かっけえ男になるためなんだよな。手の内ってこと？いいよさせてあげない。
Oh.
Nice.
そんな窒息状態で戦えるのかしら。戦う必要はねえ。なぜならオイラの必殺技は
What?
すでに決まっているのだから。グレイブラッシュ。
Wow.
And now she's away from the... Yep.
Wow, Mineta! It actually worked! Yeah, he's clever, but he's still not like...
It's not a great goal, but it is technically a goal. Now,
It's true. Wow. That lion. Dick. Oi, oi, oi!
yeah.
Oh. Dang. Okay, so that was an efficient use of the time that they have left in the season to get through all those fights. But of course, they're saving the Bakugo Deku All Might fight for a huge amount of time.
Right.
There are only 2 episodes left in the season, though. So I'm kind of curious as to what the finale is going to be like if they're doing this.
Yeah, they could do both episodes for this fight and then a little bit after the fight for something, after that.
Or something to kind of like, cliffhanger it for whatever the next arc is.
Or they could just do 1 episode for the fight and then 1 episode to kind of wrap up.
Wrap up would be nice. But with this episode in particular, they talked about a couple things that how each character went through a little bit of their motivations.
Yeah.
In particular, we did it for characters we didn't expect it to be given to.
Right.
Coda, which I'm glad I now have a name for his character. I think it was given previously, but
we'd never seen him do anything, so it's not exactly something we'd remember.
But that little scene with his mom, it shows how effective just 10 seconds of footage can be for making you be endeared to a character. Because the idea is, if you had a quirk that could control animals, that's exceptionally strong.
In very specific
circumstances. In very situational circumstances.
Yeah.
So it might not have been easy at all for him to get into UA with the way UA handles getting into the hero class in particular.
Yeah, how the heck did he do that?
Yeah.
They were up against robots.
Think about it.
And they were in an urban environment. There wouldn't be any animals. It almost doesn't make sense that he's in the hero course.
Right. There's a lot of things where we have a little bit of a stretch of belief in order to...
Yeah. Like the Invisible Girl.
Well, Invisible Girl, I feel like there's plenty of reasons as to why Invisible Girl could be in the hero course that go beyond the robots bit. Okay. And I think Minetta's makes sense also because he can immobilize them, which is essentially beating them.
Yep.
But Minetta being given kind of a little bit of a focus point in the episode as towards his desire to be popular is like, okay, I understand how that's a character trait, but I think what's interesting is that he came to the realization as to why Deku is popular is not because he's a hero. It's that he has his own why. He has his own reason why he's doing things, and that drives him to be a hero. And,
right.
That he's cool, therefore he's a hero. It's kind of cool people want to be heroes.
Sure.
So he needs to desire to be a hero as much as possible before he ends up being cool so that he'll become a hero. And I think that's good because imagine future fights. We have villains, like actual villains going after say some of the ladies. And Minetta's in his creepy stalker thing, and he protects them by immobilizing the villain, saving the girls, being a hero, but putting himself at serious risk by coming out there. That's a cool thing that he can do that is heroic, but it's also something that doesn't stretch his character outside the bounds of what we'd expect him to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's all I really have to say about that.
It was really good, though, that they at least brought up the fact that why is Minetta in the hero course?
That's true.
Why,
his goal is not strong.
Exactly.
He vaguely wants to be a hero.
It doesn't make sense that he would have lasted this long.
Right. And Recovery Girl bringing that up, that's good, Jacob. Recovery Girl bringing that up is basically saying that, Minetta, this might be your wake-up call. You need to actually think on your goals. And we could see in the future him being like maybe he has some character development where he goes, whoa, I need an actual goal beyond just being popular. Like, I can't use being a hero as a means to an end to get girls. He's like, that can be a temporary goal to start on.
Right, to give that initial motivation or something.
Right, but once his life is threatened, like by actual villains, I could see that motivation becoming way less valuable than an actual motivation.
Probably. Yeah. Just a bit.
Right, but I'm really glad we got to see some kind of fun stuff with the Present Mike fight in particular.
And the principal.
The principal
was hilarious.
I'm saving him kind of for the end there because Present Mike, his quirk is actually insanely overpowered.
Yeah.
Like if you think about anything that he has to fight that's human that has hearing abilities, like they can actually hear, like it's not some kind of robot that, interprets data based upon
or 13.
Sure. 13, I don't know.
13's just a black hole inside the suit.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Well, we don't know, but if it is, then that's basically a vacuum. Which means no sound.
Right. So the fact that Present Mike was kind of taking it easy on them, I feel like just a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was beaten by bugs is kind of the idea of what happens when Present Mike is actually in danger. How all out could he go?
Yeah.
It's scary. I feel like he could shatter like someone's body.
Right.
Get the frequency to just the right pitch and disassemble
or just
someone.
Liquefy their brain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're toast.
Sound is a scary thing because it ties into frequency, which is what all of our bodies are basically humming at specific frequencies in order to stay together, because there's a lot of open space in your body and my body and stuff, and
I was kind of hoping. I love that Present Mike was just sort of like talking to them from like far away. I was kind of hoping that like he would start like playing a song. Like
that would be awesome.
Like that maybe would have been a bit a bit too out there and goofy or whatever. But like That would have been pretty cool.
Then I feel like they would have spent too much time in that.
That is great. That is a great point.
To be fair,
that is an excellent point.
They did kind of spread the time out really kind of
between
thinly.
like what, 4 or 5 fights?
Yeah, 4.5 because of
13.
Uraraka and Ioma.
Yeah, and okay, and with something like that, what really could 13 have done? Like basically nothing.
Well, the idea that 13's quirk is one that's too strong to use at all, or when he does use it, it's...
Yeah, the one way I could have seen 13 maybe being able to win is just standing by the exit and just pulling them away from the exit. And just doing that forever. And then just, like, kiting them. They try and, dropping them and then, going somewhere else. And
that's actually would have been really strong, is if you're right, he kept dropping them every once in a while. And every time they tried to move away, he's like, nope. And then, then he lets them go. Nope. And he just tires them out.
Right.
And that would be a perfect strategy. But instead of just constantly sucking, I wanted to say that because it just sounds funny. When Uraraka lets go, 13 freaks out. He's like, oh, I don't want to actually hurt Uraraka. Right. And then, of course, they auto-win because of the nature of 13's quirk, which I'm surprised they didn't really bring up other than Sue being like, well, it seemed like Uraraka just happened to let go.
Exactly. Like, because in season 1 when they did the 2-on-2s, they mentioned and they berated some of them for basically metagaming with the
they
test.
did. Yeah, that was Momo who particularly did that with Deku.
Yeah, but they didn't do that here, even though
they were definitely doing that. Yeah. It might have been less obvious because it was 13's choice to do that. It wasn't necessarily obvious that they planned it that way. It seems like more they stumbled onto the idea, which I feel like makes it okay. But then I guess what they're also saying is that what they're grading them on is the fact that once they were pulled there, Uraraka was able to use her martial techniques to do the restraining bit, which is still something that is noteworthy.
Yep.
And that's a cool thing that she's able to use that, but she has her little kind of eyes thing where she's like, activate martial arts Sharingan,
Yep.
I thought that was kind of fun. But the principal Kaminari and Mina Shido. Oh my gosh. It's Principal Netsu or something.
Nezu, I think.
Yeah. And he was experimented on as an animal. Yep. His quirk was potentially, this is the thing that's crazy, is that his quirk is some kind of intelligence. It said high specs was the quirk, which means I think all of his mental attributes are just jacked up to 11 or like to 1,000,
right
over 9,000. But the experiments, I don't know how that contributed to the intelligence. If the animal had a quirk,
or maybe
no, but seriously, an animal had a quirk. Was the animal artificially given a quirk?
That is
I'm just saying question. Because I think what they're saying is that there's some correlation between the way the principal is right now and
the experimentation.
But here's the other thing. It could have been a thing of, we found an animal that's exceptionally intelligent, so let's do experiments on it.
Sure.
And what that did was that kind of psychologically broke him somewhat.
Well,
and him going into his psycho mode of is basically him relapsing when he's in a fight.
Right. Now, one other thing they also could have done is it could have been basically where he was a regular person, but then he got a quirk that made him look like that. It made him be an animal in addition to the intelligence, and that was just one aspect of it. And then maybe once someone found out about this great intelligence, then they experimented on it to try and I
feel like that's 2 quirks, though. They're fundamentally different types of quirks.
Yeah, they don't.
One is
related, really.
a mental thing, and one is a physical thing.
Right.
But that's another great point, though, is even a mental augmentation quirk is physical. Because what that means is, when an animal of that size, the brain is smaller, just naturally. But what if his size contributed to the reason why he's intelligent, because if the animal is big enough, the brain could be large enough to have all those neuron pathways firing at a larger capacity. It's kind of the whole thing of like the Stegosaurus from dinosaur times had a brain size of a walnut.
Yeah.
Whereas other dinosaurs had bigger brains, so they were smarter. But, you know, an animal generally has all of their brain power utilized in reflexes. So when you see a squirrel, for instance, their brain is basically there to just keep them alive and have a little bit of instinct. It's kind of why when you see a grasshopper, for instance, all you have to do is make a sound or make some motion, and they'll automatically jump a direction. Sometimes you can actually trick them to jumping the wrong way because their brain doesn't tell them which direction is the best. They just go, jump! Here is not safe. Yeah. But if his intelligence is such that he has this high specs thing to where he can see the consequences of his actions down to the calculations of a thing where Momo is just blown away. He's insanely smart.
Yeah, that has insane utility too.
Yes.
Now, the only reason he really was able to beat them here was because he had access to a crane.
Well,
if he was in the woods.
Well, here's the thing, though. What if he entered the environment, you know, a little bit before them, and he's like, all right, what do I have to use here? It's not like there was specifically a crane set up for him to use.
No, I get that. But if he was in one of the other environments where it's just like, you know, okay, just trees, you know?
Right.
What exactly
What would he do? Well, he would maybe look at the environment and go, this is a bad environment. I don't want to fight here. I'm going to go somewhere else. It's the idea that maybe his thing is that he only fights on his terms.
Sure.
And other times he's more of like a strategist teacher thing. And that's why he wasn't involved really in the USJ incident.
Well, he also wasn't there, I believe.
He was brought there.
Yes, right.
But if you notice, the people that did most of the action at the end was Ectoplasm, Gun McCree guy.
Gun McCree, yeah.
And Cementos,
yes,
really.
Right.
But and Present Mike, of course. Present Mike was the first person to do something, but
naturally.
But yeah, the fact that Gun McCree had almost all the villains down with his homing bullet.
That's OP. I love that they actually had the Invisible Girl be able to use her invisibility in a way that was actually helpful, as opposed to what happened with Todoroki. But they didn't really go into Gun McCree's quirk very much. Like, they said it's homing. That's awesome.
But what they also might have been doing is low-key testing Hakaguri, is that her last name? Whatever her name is. Or something. Testing the limitations of her quirk, in that could he home his bullets onto her,
well,
even though he can't see her.
And I'm not sure if we even know whether it's that the bullets home or that his senses can home in on someone.
That's also a very good point. I think it is the senses thing as well, because he can feel their presence. He said that when they were in the fog. I feel like the fog thing is kind of a boon to him. Because if you look at it as his bullets home, he would be helping them out by throwing that gas out there. But he's basically saying, let's see whose senses are stronger. I'm going to throw this out here. That's why Dupla Arms was involved in the fight, because his is a recon information gathering thing. He has insanely powerful senses. He can put out
and
6
by
ears.
Being up against someone that has homing, that basically nullifies that. But apparently he wasn't able to detect the Invisible Girl.
So the Invisible Girl's...
that actually seems like she was set up to win that one, unless maybe they didn't know.
Well, I think it's the thing of, can they sense her? We don't know, so let's test it out. And the idea is, no, we can't. Her invisibility is that good.
Which, and if that is what they're doing, I get the feeling it might not necessarily be, because then that would be attributing more screen time to the Invisible Girl than what she's gotten so far. But I would not mind if they did that, because I am always wanting more screen time for Invisible Girl.
Here's how it could work. They set her up to be a character that isn't relevant in the story right now. But when she is relevant, we go, whoa.
This is a job for Invisible Girl.
This is a job for Invisible Girl, and she does her job. Like, think about it as a writer, Jacob. Why would you put Invisible Girl into the story other than the gag? Well, you have a specific part in the story where having someone with invisibility is going to be very useful. And I feel like that part is going to happen later, of course, but it's the idea of until then we're just sitting around waiting with her. She is kind of a gag character.
Yeah, until All for One manages to catch her, and then everyone just realizes that, you know what, humanity's screwed. Let's just give up right now, because
then there's like all the support people like Hatsume Mei are like developing like really crazy like infrared techniques in order to detect All for One.
Yeah.
I don't think that
Invisible Girl and Aizawa, if they ever get captured, it's over.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good point. They don't want to have her character be the character that's brought in to stop the villains or aid the villains in a way. It's more of a, what specific instance will she help like save the main characters or something like that. Yeah. Like imagine if the main characters get captured, right? And we need to go in and like rescue them and stuff. And it's like, well, who will we send? Oh, of course. Send the Invisible Girl. And she like goes in and like pickpockets people, and it's like this little mini side arc.
There's this like floating key card. Right? But okay, one of the things I have always wondered though.
Yeah. Or it's like on her feet and it's like sliding along the ground, you know?
But like, if you can turn invisible, but it's only you, at what point does something become a part of you? If you eat food, it doesn't. But if you eat food...
It's inside the body. That's why.
Right. So that would mean that she could just like take a key card and like put it in her mouth, or put it between her hands.
No. I think that's where it's different, because the invisibility... like, I see what you're saying. So that means she's generating a field.
Right. It's a question of whether she's generating a field or just that herself does not register, like light passes through her or something.
That is a good point.
Because if it's,
I feel like it's light passes through her.
And then the question is, why doesn't it pick up the food in her stomach or
because
whatever?
That all... Oh, right.
Because it hasn't been yet, like, consumed and, like, absorbed into the system.
I think it's one of those things that we're not supposed to think in too much of,
because quirks defy the laws of physics anyways.
Yeah.
So
it could be both even. Like, not really, but it could be.
It's some sort of invisibility wave duality.
Yeah, sure, something like that. Photons and all that. But the fact that Metsu went all psycho there was probably the funniest bit of this episode.
That was great. And I love the way they used the animation to have it be all like jittery and stuff as he has his tea or coffee or whatever that is.
The fact that when the coffee like spilled out of her, it actually looked like blood for a second. Like maybe that was the way they kind of intentionally made it to be, but it's like, I was thinking he's like, I will now feast on their blood.
Yeah.
And I get the feeling that that's why his behavior is so weird. When he's talking with All Might, like in season 1.
Yeah.
He's long-winded. He has all these kind of derpy conversations and stuff because he had this very traumatic experimentation time when he was a younger whatever animal he
mouse or whatever he is.
Yeah, remember he's like, what am I? Am I a mole, a rat, a mouse, or even a bear or something like that? And everyone's like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, with Deku, Bakugo, and All Might coming up here, I really feel like this is actually going to be the time where we get some actual foreshadowing of what an All for One fight would be like.
Yeah, well, for sure.
And potentially also what character development we could have between
Deku and Bakugo.
Deku and Bakugo.
Wow, I didn't know you shipped them.
Wow, no. Deku and Bakugo, but specifically with Bakugo.
Right.
Because Bakugo right now is one of those characters where it's like there is this impending sense of like weighty character development. Like Doom, sure. But
so if Deku,
what could they do?
Well, yeah, there are so many things they could do. I get the feeling here though, Deku needs to sort of learn from All Might and meet Bakugo where he's at.
Yes.
If Deku, I get the feeling Deku's muttering and all that stuff just infuriates Bakugo more. If Deku came up and he's like, all right, Bakugo, let's do this, and they fist bump, and he offers a fist bump, Bakugo would be completely confused at first. He'd be like, wow, but then he'd be like, okay.
You think that they're going to end up working together at the end of this fight?
I mean, hopefully. But
it would be cool to see them actually have some semblance
because
of being able to work together.
They're both so fast and so powerful that they kind of are like an ultimate combo.
They really are.
Except for maybe like Aizawa and literally anybody, because, Aizawa's Aizawa. But
the idea that they could become the ultimate combo is a way better idea of storytelling, kind of foreshadowing, than the idea that they will eventually be enemies and have to fight each other. Which I feel like is stupid, because I think that they will constantly butt heads.
Absolutely.
I think that they will constantly maybe have, like, arguments, struggles, and conflict that brings them kind of... But it's more of an iron sharpening iron kind of thing, where they end up basically enhancing each other by like the friction of their own drive and will.
Except that the way it is right now, I don't see Deku as being iron.
I don't think so either. I don't think he's helping the situation.
I think Bakugo would appreciate him a lot more, because he'd be like, you know what? Fine. Yeah, you actually are making me better.
Right.
As opposed to right now, where he's like, why do you have this power? It doesn't make sense,
So if Deku realizes that in this fight,
that would be awesome.
What could we see?
We could see some really cool stuff.
Because I feel like by the nature of this fight existing, they have to beat All Might, right?
Yeah, because it's the because this conflict.
It's going to be so cool, whatever they use to do it, but
but it kind of needs to happen, because that this conflict is such a problem. To have it introduced and then have it not be overcome seems a little bit needless.
Well, not only needless, but think of the potential for what they could do if they do it and they make it.
Yeah,
there's the threat of here's where I actually think the fight's going to feel a little bit scary. The idea that All Might has a little bit of he's not a great teacher. Like, he's basically kind of
that's true.
He's kind of a great inspirer. But as for actually teaching, I feel like he could actually try to teach here in terms of, like, here's what you're up against, Deku.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually hurts both of them. Not in a way that's irreparable, but it's the idea that, no, I want you guys to actually be scared here.
Right, and that could
comes into it, is a joke of it, is that, All Might is an actor as well, so he could sell it pretty well.
It's also the idea of, like, it could be a way of basically him trying to, like, snap them out of their problems. It's like, hey, no, when you're up against a god, you don't have time to be, bickering and all that stuff.
Yes.
So once Bakugo or Deku or both, get, like, genuinely terrified, like, we can't do this, then maybe they'll actually be, they'll overcome their differences and work together.
For sure. Now, them winning doesn't necessarily mean that they restrain All Might.
It can also be them getting away, but it can also be they can also just learn to work together. That can be the win.
That could be the win.
And they see how effective they are, and then it's like, okay, and it's All Might, so we aren't able to beat him.
Right, but here's my thought. Mm-hmm. So these two are who they are. Bakugo is going to just rush in and do maybe some cool things.
He might actually try and use Deku as bait.
Okay.
Like,
talk about that. Okay, I don't really follow fully.
So let's say
I like the idea,
because the thing is, Bakugo is absolutely the hot-headed type to rush in, and that's what I'm initially thinking.
Yeah.
But this season, they've really built him up to be a quick thinker.
Okay.
Right? So what if he basically goes and rushes in all loud-like and stuff, but then he basically does something sneaky or whatever, and granted, he has explosions. Those are kind of loud, so I don't know how exactly he would be able to do it, but basically getting it to the point where Deku then is trying to catch up with him to basically say, like, no, we can't be separated, otherwise All Might will totally crush us. And then he basically doubles back and waits for Deku to come, running through, looking for Bakugo. All Might comes in.
Sure.
And which one do you think will actually have the handcuffs? I think that's going to be
Deku.
Probably Deku. But Bakugo probably won't want him to have the handcuffs.
I feel like what they could try to do, and I don't think it'll work, but the idea that Bakugo's explosions restrict visibility is they could be constantly going for a limb every once in a while, and Deku uses his speed to try and latch something on.
Sure.
But he just keeps getting absolutely destroyed by All Might.
Well, and because here's the thing, it's not just that All Might's strong. All Might is fast.
He's really fast.
He's way faster than even Deku with his cowling thing.
Oh, well, remember, 5%.
Right, exactly. 5% of what Deku
So 20 times at least.
At very least.
At the very least in terms of speed. And 20 times is the difference between a car going 5 miles an hour and a car going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So that's
car hits you at 5 miles an hour. You're okay.
I think that's like 700 feet a second. Basically, is 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't know, but the point is Deku can move a lot faster than 5 miles an hour. So, how fast can All Might move? Well, let's just say that it's fast.
But
too fast to see, probably.
But let's just say that, we get into a little bit of silly math here. Let's just say that, we go into the reaction time of the human eye, quarter of a second. Sure. The next quarter of a second is choosing to make some kind of action. Generally, this is using some kind of baseball data, because when they see a pitch thrown at them, they have about a quarter of a second to observe it. They have about another quarter of a second to decide whether or not they're going to swing. And then after that,
actually be making the swing.
Actually be making the swing. So in that half second, All Might, if say he's moving at 100 miles an hour, can move 350 feet-ish. I'm just throwing some really bad numbers out there. Okay. But the idea that when anime characters move and it's like, I didn't even see them.
Yeah.
That speed is...
That's actually, practically, how fast All Might can move.
Well, right. The idea that All Might could move faster than they could react or even observe is to the point where All Might actually end up toying with them. It's so bad.
Sure.
Until they come up with some kind of plan.
Now, they did establish that the weights seemed like they were heavier than All Might expected. So maybe they put extra heavy weights on All Might specifically because he's All Might. But the thing about the reaction time is a great point, because at the end of season 1, when at the USJ incident, when Deku jumps at Shigaraki, right? Shigaraki didn't see him. He's just he's right there. And Bakugo at USJ, when All Might saved him,
didn't even see
what happened.
Yeah. I get the idea that All Might is moving multiple thousands of feet per second.
Yeah.
In terms of his actual overall speed. Right. That basically makes it so that if you can see the person with your naked eye, because that means they're close to you, the speed at which it would take to get to them is such that they would never be able to perceive it at all.
Yeah.
The speed is too much. Also, the fact that the light has to hit their body and then rebound back into your own eyes.
I don't think All Might's quite to fractions of the speed of light.
No, but the idea that your interpretation, your brain firing on that stuff, we're working on quarters of a second here. That's such that all you would see is essentially a blur. You would see a blur. When you see a car zoom past you really fast,
right? But then multiply
that
by
a picture
by 1,000,000.
Right. Multiply that by 1,000 or something like that. Yeah. I get the idea that if they actually find some way to beat All Might, it's them outlasting him.
But there's a time limit.
That's the time limit. That's my point. The time limit is to his power, but also the time limit of the game itself.
But I think the time limit is half an hour?
I think it's 15 minutes, actually.
And All Might can go for an hour.
I think he can go for a half an hour, actually. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys.
I think it's
but
an
I'm
hour.
Pretty sure we just established not long ago that he only has a half an hour. It was in this season.
Well, right, because after the USJ incident at the beginning, they mentioned that he isn't able to hold it as long because it was 3 hours and then it was an hour. It might have gone down since.
No,
I don't think it has.
I think at the beginning of season 2, he mentioned that it was a half an hour. I'm not sure, but if it's a half an hour, that might be why they had this.
Him at the very end?
Well, him at the very end, sure. He doesn't have to be turning on all throughout the whole thing.
No, but just that way he has a reason to leave immediately.
And
not be hanging around.
That too, but also I think that's why they did it for 15 minutes per fight instead of 30 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Just to making it well.
Yeah, and if you think about it, when people are thinking of like, all right, All Might and all that stuff and his time limit, anytime they actually have him around, you'd want to have at least like 15 minutes
of buffer time
just in case a USJ incident happens. You need him to be able to,
for sure,
give the smackdown.
I feel like also that's maybe where this show is going at some point, is the idea that the villains are readying themselves for their next USJ type incident.
Right.
And the fact that we don't have really many, if any, episodes left is that we're not going to get another one in this season.
Yeah.
But we are going to maybe see, like, the building up towards it.
Yeah, maybe the arrival of, like, the Stain copycats or, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I could see that happening.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we're getting into stuff that's outside of this episode in particular. So let's end the discussion here. But this was kind of fun because now we know what we have to look forward to in the next episode. Exactly. It's going to be really good. So if you want to see that one right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon's early access. You can get on that. It gives you access to the Discord as well. And come chat with us. We'd love to talk to you about story or anime or whatever. Yeah. So we'll see you all later. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.